Yo. So, yeah, I turned my volume off again. That was fun. Take two. It's time to do some post-draft ranks. Sorry, I didn't mean to clap. But it is. Post-draft ranks are essentially how much I like players post-draft. This is my first look. Put in asterisks all around it. Things are subject to change, but I'm going to rank them, see how well I like players right after the draft based on their landing spot, their draft capital, and what we already know about them. Don't want to get too deep into rehashing the evaluations right now, because I just ground out like videos and pretty much all of these guys. So check those out, I guess. But I do want to run over why and where my head's at. The idea here is that I want my own opinion based on their landing spot. Then we're going to let ADP settle down, take another look, because where I like them isn't necessarily where I have to draft them. And that makes a rookie board, which is what I'm going to show you, a little difficult, because, you know, just because I really like a player doesn't mean I have to take him 3rd overall or 4th overall or even in the first round. So I go back and forward and what I want to represent with the rookie board, but right now, this is just my personal top 12. I've put a lot, if anyone watched the live stream, like on day 3 there with the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, I don't even remember. I did a lot of streaming. You can basically, that whole stream is me constantly trying new ways of ranking the top 12. But this is one I've settled on. Every round after that, it's much more fresh. I haven't challenged myself with as many different combinations as possible on those other rounds, but it's there. If you're interested in it, it's in the ranks tab with my NFL Superflex ranks and my pre-draft ranks and my rookie ranks going all the way back the last 3 years for trying to provide some sort of accountability for myself, mostly for myself as well. I don't mean to make that sound fancy. It's just I don't know how to improve if I can't go back and see what I got wrong. And while I know a lot of people find it fun to always be able to not talk about the things they got wrong and only talk about the things they got right, I'm just trying to get better at fantasy, and I don't know how I do that. If that's what I'm up to. Longer I've done this, the harder it is to hot take, and not because I don't still have hot ranks, but it's kind of unnatural if you're just doing it to do it. And honestly, anyone who thinks they know this stuff so well that they can call someone else a fool for liking a player or not liking a player a certain place, I've sensed a lack of accountability. You have not owned yourself hard enough over the last few years to really get a sense of how little we know and how well we can't do at this. But having said that, I like to offer a firm opinion that you can use like the shore, bolster up against, and I'm going to do that. So if you disagree with them, you're allowed to just tell me I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong, and I will be happy to talk to you from that perspective. But just, again, spent all off season doing it. One last warning, you can like a player however much you like a player. There's really no wrong. There really is no wrong. But time to set some gram rules. Time to set that default average, right? So yeah, let's do that, but with volume. Sound good? Back to the rookie board. Let's go. Ooh, where I don't know where the button is. All right, so this is the ranks sheet. Not as cool, but if we go over here, hey, we got a rookie board. And again, I've been going through the rookie ranks and adding small notes about their landing spot and draft capital and stuff. The pre-draft ranks are now all locked in the receipts tab. Along with the last 3 years, but the rookie board's over here, and this is where I'm at. This is the top 12 rookies in my opinion. So what were the things I was saying about this that you saw in the last video, but couldn't hear me? I really like Najee Harris. Let me be clear on this. I like Harris more than Etne because I look at the ceiling of what a running back did in college much more than the average or anything else. And based on any stat you really care to look at, especially the ones I do, like yards per team attempt is a favorite one of mine, so it's weighted yards per team attempt or It's actually called adjusted yards per team attempt in the database. If you look at the best season, Najee Harris has the one that stands out. Now, he had it a little later, and I'm not going to rehash the profile or why I don't care about that so much, but that is Najee Harris. However, he is a great prospect in a shallow class. That does not mean he's a great prospect. Jamar Chase, he kind of is an elite tier prospect. Najee Harris is pretty good. He's a great prospect. He's not, he's not Saquon Barkley. He's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not Alvin Kamara, which didn't look like an elite tier prospect, to be fair. But I don't think he has that in his range of outcomes. But as a prospect, he's slightly just good rather than, that's a typical RB1. That's the guy you draft over anything else. Positional value, you should take Harris over Chase. I think that's fair. But for me, if I'm at the 101 and I have to choose between the two, then I'm taking Chase. I ended up mapping... I look for a framework because I'm just a nerd who doesn't believe he knows the future, or a fake nerd that doesn't even believe he knows the future, so it's even worse. So I do the thing where it's just a narrative, but I need something to latch onto. And so I've been going through past draft classes in terms of ADP, pre-draft, and now post-draft. I was looking for some sort of draft class that this one reminds me of. Not because these players are like those players, but just for some sort of, again, framework to map what I think of this class or these types of players on to what has actually happened in the past. And that's pretty much my whole process all the time, because I'm just an idiot, so I'm looking for some way to latch on to provide a framework to build around, instead of thinking I know who has a ceiling or who has the future behind them. And the one I ended up coming to is 2015. Now, I've mentioned some classes like 2015 pre-draft, but I'm not talking about the quality of player necessarily. And in this first tier I've got with Chase 101 and Najee Harris 102, I saw Todd Gurley and Amari Cooper. We actually drafted Amari Cooper slightly higher than Todd Gurley in startup ADP in that when they were both rookies. Now, clearly that was a bad decision. Now, Todd Gurley was an elite tier running back prospect, and so it would have been fair to go Todd Gurley, and I think many people did. The injury was probably the concern there, and that's got nothing to do with Harris, right? But when I think about that as a framework, I see Jamar Chase is easily the Amari Cooper level prospect. Like, he's in that tier. Like, not going to rehash the profile, but he did really well in college. I can't really ask for more, and he got all the draft capital. Like, I like him a lot. Najee Harris is good compared to this running back class and compared to most running backs, but he's not good compared to the heights of Todd Gurley. Now, Najee Harris also doesn't have an injury concern. So, yeah, that's fine. You can take Harris over Chase, and year one, you should have taken Gurley over Amari Cooper. But by now, Amari Cooper is probably the player you want on your roster, right? And that's the positional value of wide receiver. And where Chase is very much in the Amari Cooper tier and Najee Harris very much isn't in the Gurley tier, for me, I hope that explains why I like Chase over Harris. Like, I don't pass up on an elite level prospect at a position with a longer life of value anyway, over a very good prospect. If that makes sense. Having said that, all the balls are in Najee Harris's court. Wait, that was mixing a whole bunch of metaphors. But yeah, Harris is more likely to do something year one. He's less likely to bust based on being on a first-round running back. And so if you're like, I like Najee Harris, take Najee Harris. But personally, I want to trade up for Chase in this class, and that's pretty much the way I want to play it. But I'm very happy to take Harris 101 if that. Maybe I'm on the clock and I'm like, am I really going to pass up a running back like Najee Harris? Probably not. But that's the way I feel about it right now. Let's move on. Second tier, I've got Travis Etienne and Kyle Pitts. Travis Etienne is frankly, he's in the same tier. My pre-draft and post-draft model put him slightly ahead of Najee Harris, but that's because those models are made by an idiot, me. And they can't do things like look at particular nuance, like Najee Harris not having as long a history of being a receiver and dominant running back because he only really took on that job those last 2 years, and I'm not so worried about that. Etienne, He's coming out a little younger. He did a little earlier in college, and so it likes him a little bit more. But the heights of their production, Harris clearly wins for me. But it's still close. I'm trying to remember that I like Travis Etienne. Sorry, got it right. Because he just cooked James Robinson. And look, as someone who likes to believe he's in at least the upper tier of lovers of undrafted free agents, maybe this will help you. James Robinson is phenomenal. He balled. I believe he is very good. And it probably doesn't matter. And it's not going to devolve. If it devolves into a committee, we just don't want any of them. Am I selling James Robinson? What's the price? Maybe I will consider it at this point. But I'm guessing the price of James Robinson right now, I'm just going to keep the player I think is pretty good. But there is no reason to suspect that Travis Etienne is going to fall over his feet while trying to take the opportunity. He's a very good prospect at running back with first-round draft capital, and teams very much get to decide who gets the job at running back, much more so than at wide receiver or at tight end, or quarterback for that matter. So it is what it is, and it is. Travis Etienne has a job. And this is part of why teams suck and why bad teams continue to make bad mistakes. Like, Etienne can be great, remember, and it was still just a ridiculous decision, but don't let that get in your head too much because it's Etienne's job, and he is a very good prospect. That's where we're at. So, yep, I have him 103. I hate it, but I'm trying to remember that I actually kind of like Etienne's profile pretty well. He's got first-round draft capital. It is what it is. Kyle Pitts, this is what I'm doing with Kyle Pitts. I'm ranking him what looks extraordinarily high, but almost guarantees that someone else wants to take him before me. There's a division between wanting Pitts 101 and wanting Pitts 106, and I'm just splitting that dang baby. Like, I don't want to take a tight end in the first round, but if you were going to make an argument for taking a tight end this high in the first round, it would be Kyle Pitts. I get it. Where I've come down to is, remember, he does not profile like Gronk and Kelsey. I mean, he profiles like more of a pure receiving tight end, which puts you on the Jimmy Graham tier, who did not have a perfect profile. It puts you in Jordan Reed and Evan Ingram, who did have very good receiving profiles coming into college. To me, they have shorter lifespans than the Gronk and Kelsey tier, who typically have lower profiles. That's the weird thing about tight end. The great ones don't have great profiles, but that's just doublethink, you know. He's 100th percentile in my post-draft model. That's not a thing that's meant to be possible. Demaryius Thomas in wide receiver is the only other instance I know of that, although there are a few others. So, yeah, Pitts is it. Now, the other argument, and the reason I'm willing to put him here at 4 in the second tier with Etienne, is value, right? He's guaranteed to hold value, yes, but let me lend some numbers to that. Why not? That's what I do, right? It's what I do. Evan Ingram had the kind of first year that you would want. We drafted him lower than we're going to draft Pitts in startup drafts. The expected points per game based on where we drafted Evan Ingram was around 7.3 points per game. So no matter what number of games he played, he had to get over 7.3, or he would have been a value loss. And I found this expectation formula to be very good at describing what happens the next year in terms of their value. Evan Ingram beat that expectation by about 6 points per game. He just demolished it. He was incredibly productive, and that's kind of what we're hoping for Kyle Pitts. Now, the argument for his value is that even Jordan Howard, O.J. Howard, even Noah Fant and Hawkinson, we expect tight ends to be slower, so really Pitts doesn't have to do anything, and he'll be drafted around about the same point last year. True. But players that don't demolish that expectation tend to drop a little bit, but it's similar or remain the same. And if you're going into year 2 with Fant and Hawkinson, I mean, yeah, you technically have the same value, but the hype in their sales is kind of gone. They get drafted around the same spot, but their trade value honestly isn't there anymore. That's my lived experience. Your mileage may vary. But I don't find anyone really as excited or willing to pay up for second-year tight ends who only met expectation. Pitts' expectation is probably going to be about the same. I've asked a few people. It's not professional survey or anything, but I think he's going to be around tight end 4 overall. Slightly higher than Ingram in overall ADP, but with that 7 to 8 points per game expectation. He's going to easily step over that, I assume. But we're looking for an Evan Ingram year for him really to increase in value. I think the idea that tight ends maintain value into year 2 is a little overblown if you're thinking trade by that point. But sure, he'll look good in a trade calculator still next year, and there is a chance he does what Evan Ingram did, in which case he's going to jump 4 rounds, beat expectation by 6 points per game, and that will be the win, right? And provide the positional value of having a difference-making tight end. It's a slim road. It's a small target. It's a difficult throw. I'm mostly probably wanting to take ETN in this tier and hope someone else takes him before I have to think about it again. That's where I'm at. 105, I've got Javonte Williams, who I honestly like as much as ETN, but there's no way I can really justify that by showing you a table and a number. His production is like 0.01 worse across most measures, like literally 0.01 compared to ETN. This is a weird thing about the numbers. The more I've looked at them, the more I understand they don't do ceiling well. They don't do ranking well. And despite the fact that Pitts is 100th percentile, that doesn't mean I'm 100% more certain that he's Gronk. It means I'm very certain he's good. I mean, there are tiers, but there are not ranks, almost, by looking at production. Either way, I like Javonte Williams a lot. Got slightly more of his yards from the rushing game than his receiving game, yet still ample room for a lot of receiving work. He's a 3-down back with decent draft capital, going to a good landing spot. I like him a lot. I probably like him as much as ETN, but you've got this Kyle Pitts problem I have to deal with beforehand. But I like Javonte Williams a lot. He's at 105 mainly to fit Kyle Pitts in there. And after this, talking about positional value, there is no one I like a lot at the running back class. There's probably going to be someone that turns up, but I can't see them. But there's a strong teardrop after Williams, so just be aware of that. Rashad Bateman, honestly, percentile-wise, like he profiles as elite as Jamar Chase. I have some concerns in that he's coming from Minnesota, but the NFL doesn't care. And he's got first-round draft capital like Jamar Chase, and he did everything you could ask for across the metrics that I look at in college. And I'm not as scared of the landing spot as some people. I mean, it's bad. There are significant volume concerns, but I believe this player can do shit. I believe he can make it happen. And one thing I know is that we very rarely read landing spot, right? But respect to the problem with volume and the positional value of those running backs and hoping someone else takes Kyle Pitts, I like Bateman a lot. I want to play this class by trading up for Chase or trading out for 2020 players. But Bateman sits there as, I kind of want to trade up for him too, but he's going to be ranked much lower. Let's see what ADP brings. But this does not do justice to how much I like Bateman. Just trying to build in a few very reasonable concerns about his volume, about the value of positions like tight end and running back, and positional difference makers. And that's why Bateman falls a little bit. But honestly, if you want to put him 102, I ain't going to tell you no. I ain't going to tell you no. It's just facts. At me. I don't know what I'm doing. Next, I got a wide receiver tier. Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, and Devontae Smith. Honestly, you can rank those three anywhere that you want. This tier is very much hit and miss. I did a lot of work trying to figure out how to rank these wide receivers because I like them more than my ranks can possibly show because you can only have so many. Yeah, I've got it up. Great. I even ended up looking at our hit rate chart in the database linked below and stuff and just saying, okay, if we're ranking by ceiling, let's look at the likelihood or the percentage of players with their type of stats and metrics that hit top 5. And, that's one of the various reasons that I came out as putting Smith on top. Based on his draft capital, based on where he's coming from, there is a slightly higher likelihood that he has a top 5 or a top 12 season than Rondale Moore and Elijah Moore. And I like Smith. I think he has a very good profile, and I think he's going to Philadelphia, which is neither a good nor a bad landing spot in my mind at this point. So Smith currently leads the tier at 107. However, personally, if I was going to bet on a Philadelphia wide receiver, it would probably be Jalen Reagor still, and he had a bad rookie season and lost value. And 94% of the time when that happens, that player does not hit. He busts out. So that's a bad idea. Don't do what I say or what I do. But that's where I'm at on Smith. I really like him as a prospect. I think he can do stuff. I'm not worried about his size or his BMI. I'm a little worried about Philadelphia being one of the teams that just constantly kills players I like, but we'll see. And I honestly believe Elijah Moore and Rondale Moore have the same level of ceiling, but statistically, players with their numbers coming from their conferences and everything else do hit the highest of ceilings slightly less often. I think it's relative to draft capital, but I'm having a hard time ranking them, so I just went with that. If we come back in a week and without having listened or looked at anything else, I could very easily have put Moore at the top of this tier. I could very easily have put either Moore at the top of this tier. My rankings of the three change minute by minute. So 107, 108, 109, do what you want. Let's see what ADP brings. See if some of them get pushed down so far that I end up just being able to have them a little bit lower and yet still really like them. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. Rondale Moore's on a better team with a similar role expectation with more volume. So shouldn't he be above Elijah Moore? Yeah, but I have no questions about Elijah Moore's profile. I have questions about Elijah Moore's landing spot, and I bet on the player more than the landing spot. Again, I know I'm a hater. I get it. What's up next? Especially in this class, and you know this class is a certain kind of thing, so I normally am not interested in spending a first-round pick in a 1 QB league on a tight end, but I'm just going to take the tight ends. Even Sam Darnold, I mean, at least I knew I had a quarterback on my roster for whatever that's worth in a 1 QB league. Trevor Lawrence actually might be something a little different than just a quarterback. And I think Justin Fields, I mean, he's still my quarterback 2 in this class. I'm not concerned that he wasn't drafted by Shanahan. His draft capital's fine. His landing spot's fine. I think he's the second best fantasy quarterback in this draft. There is no reason for me to change where I rank him. And also, I don't know why Shanahan drafting you is a good thing. When has that been a good thing? And I like Justin Fields plenty. So, yeah, I just take Lawrence and Fields. There it is. I'm putting Trey Sermon at 112 to round out the first round. In his own tier. It feels bad, man. It feels very Keyshawn Vaughn-y, right? But based on his draft capital, based on the fact he's a running back, there's significant upside with drafting that player this year. Honestly, I probably like Michael Carter just as much. And so again, the rankings may change and probably will, but right now, again, looking at the likelihood of hitting based on where they were drafted and the fact that Trey Sermon's profile was fine, Michael Carter's was better, but running back is such a coaching decision, so much of a coaching decision, it's hard to go all in on this player's better. And production's worse at doing that at running back. So I'm just going Trey Sermon. I don't like how low I have Chuba Hubbard or Elijah Mitchell right now, just throwing that out there. And you might be wondering, where's Jalen Waddle? Or you might have noticed he's at the top of round 2. Believe it or not, I'm doing that because I'm trying to show I like him more. That might not come true. He's a first-round wide receiver I got in the second round. That's ridiculous. I'm assuming he's going to be in the first round for most drafts, which is hopefully just meaning that I have extra chances to get Smith or Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore, and I think that's very fair. Jalen Waddle is someone who didn't play enough for me to get a full idea of what he was in college. He has some markedly high notes on that profile, even with a smaller sample. I fear that we're going to be more of a role-playing NFL star than a fantasy star, and that's where I'm at on him. But he's got first-round draft capital and some really interesting marks on his profile. So, yeah. That's where I'm at on him right now. First thoughts, hate me. These are for sure, and you're an idiot for not thinking the things that I think, I guess. But yeah. Don't want to rehash the second round, third round, fourth round, or anything else. Like, I've got this thing too up. I'm a mess. This video is being remade on the fly. These are my top 12 players post NFL draft. I'm going to go read and think and quietly learn from other people. Obviously, we don't care about other people's opinions. And then when we get a settled ADP, we'll re-rank this. And hopefully I will have been able to invest in more time in thinking about my second, third, and fourth round anyway. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I would point out I've got an undrafted free agent in the second round here, Kenny, your boy. And I feel remarkably good about that. I'm not going to go through it right now. Again, I want to get this video under 30 minutes. But one of the beauties of this class is that you can just go get... In fact, every class. And anyone that's telling you not, like, I don't know, maybe they're new at this, or they haven't gone so far, or maybe they're arrogant and have never actually tried to track their own results, because I think if anyone does that, you get a little humble. But... yeah, just go get, especially in this class, if you like freaking Jalen Waddle, and I've got a guy, Connor, shout out. He's in my Discord, he's a Patreon, we chat back and forth about Excel all the time. He really likes Kadarius Toney. This is me trying to do good for him, by the way. Connor, like, don't hate me. I've got the end of the second round. But he loves Connor. He's got first round draft capital, and whatever process he's gone to, like mystical, imaginary, whatever, process to like Toney, you can go up and get Toney. You can take Toney in the first round. I still wouldn't. I might, for fun, if we're just arguing and, being our fantasy football selves. But yeah, you should just get Toney wherever you think you have to go get him. And that's something, there's a freedom to this class that lets you do that. Chatarius Atwell, I honestly feel forced into the second round because that's what the Rams did. I like Terrace Marshall a lot more now. He didn't get drafted in the first round. People are going to fall on him. Terrace Marshall always was your guy. He's still got second round capital. There's no great reason to tilt on that. And the concerns seem to be injury, not play. So, hey, that's actually a feather in anyone that liked Terrace Marshall pre-draft. The NFL wasn't concerned about his play. They were concerned about injuries, which is not something we think we can predict. Anyone can get injured. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm gonna provide that bolster. You can hate me on it, get in the comments, tell me why I'm wrong. I'm happy to argue with you from a position of a very strong opinion. But one last time, as we leave the off season and it becomes all about setting your opinions, and these are right, just wanted to remind you, you can like anyone however much you want. Believe it or not, there are no fantasy police. And if it's not fun, you shouldn't do it, because it's just fantasy football. So... just in case no one told you, you're allowed to like him however much you want. But here are my strongly held opinions that I will take to my grave, and we can argue about them. And talk about them again next week after we get some ADP. On Monday, just moving on to the NFL stuff, we're going to start doing projections and looking at how rookies fit in to teams and just projecting teams out in general. And we'll come back to thinking about rookie ranks after ADP settles down a little bit. But yeah, let me know what you think. Check out the database for all these players in the description below, I guess. Yeah, let me know who your top 12 players are. If Waddle and Toney are the only ones I'm missing on. If Terrace Marshall should still be in the top 12. And who do you push down because of it? What questions do you have? Why shouldn't you take quarterbacks in round one of a one quarterback league? I don't know. Be happy to talk about any of it. So yeah, that's me. I'm out. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the draft. And let me know any questions you've got if you're on the clock. Happy to offer an opinion that you can then be angry at later. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.